not terribly good going in the winter session for some of the bills that business was expecting will get passed, but very good going for the BJP in both Jharkhand as well as in J&K, especially in J&K. At this juncture, I think the BJP tally is even ahead of the PDP tally, though of course it will be PDP with its allies. That's of course the Jharkhand tally, where there is a landslide for the BJP itself, and in J&K the PDP at the moment, okay, neck and neck is leading, but just a few minutes ago it was the BJP which was in the lead, so it's a very, very good showing for the BJP. These are leads, no taking away from that. How do you analyze this entire package of some political hits and business misses or legislative misses for the NDA? Anil Padmanabhan, Deputy Managing Editor of Mint, joins us. Good morning, Anil. Thank you very much for patiently waiting by for us. Well, what's your comment on the way in which the winter session has panned out? Will it mean negative points for the NDA government if the two bills, insurance and coal, the coal ordinance, have to be resorted to through repromulgation of ordinances?
Definitely, Lata. This actually very short summary of what's happened is there's a kind of decoupling of your political strength from what you can do in legislature, and that is what comes through. So if you remember in the UPA, they were a minority, but they walked into a similar roadblock, that time inspired by the BJP. And now the BJP is in almost like brute majority relative to the coalitions that we saw in the past, but it's not getting its way because it is running into the roadblock in Rajya Sabha. So yes, it's a definite negative for a government which came riding on a wave of change, promising quick moves to revive the economy, policy changes. So yes, in that context, it is a blow to the political ambitions, rather legislative ambitions of the NDA and BJP in particular.
But can it get by with ordinance on both these issues, Anil? Maybe as we see it now, it's a matter of time before the BJP is able to muster numbers in the Rajya Sabha as well. Do you think it can get by with ordinances on both these issues until then?
See, Lata, it can, because there is no precedent either way that they can't reissue an ordinance. So they are good with that, but it's just that ordinances are valid for 6 months. But politically, it doesn't show them in a good light. But then if they do that, it also means they're changing gears into a more pragmatic mode of governance. There is a very high road of in governance where you use your majority, get approvals in parliament and get it through, and the other is a more pragmatic way which they may be forced to adopt, where you have to go through with the coal ordinance, go through with all this, because these can't be held up. So in that sense, you may be seeing a shifting of or an infusion of pragmatism into the governance, which is contrary to the kind of political power they are projecting, not just in parliament, but now, like you mentioned earlier, across the states too.
Okay. Anil, hi, morning. What did you make of the numbers that are coming out both from Jharkhand as well as from Jammu and Kashmir? I mean, BJP currently at 48 in Jharkhand. This was of course expected, but it's doing very well in Kashmir as well.
See, clearly this Modi wave is yet to abate in this country. The obvious first takeaway is that. But the other side of the same coin is this terminal decline of the Congress party. So they're coming together. So in a sense, it exaggerates the Modi impact, given the fact that the Congress is giving up without a fight, as it were. So that is a big takeaway that I would see in this immediately. Then in Kashmir, the performance of BJP is again, I think, a dramatic performance. They're likely to at least double their tally, which is again a big vote for their new president, but they're well short of their Mission 44. But if it leaves them as the principal opposition party, it's a big, big plus. But here again, it will replace the Congress as the non-Valley party. So it is not that BJP is going to form the government in Kashmir. But Jharkhand, yes, I mean, this was coming, but I think it's a very significant vote because we have seen 9 governments in 14 years, 14 governments in 9 years. And now if they get a comfortable majority, then you're looking at a stability in a very important state mineral rich, in many ways. It's a very significant state in the national economy. You'll see stability after a long, long time. So it's a very significant vote in Jharkhand too.
Okay. Well, Anil, how does this change the atmosphere for business? On the one hand, to have a whole set of auctions being held under ordinances could be a little jittery. On the other, as you say, the fact that a big mining state is going to the same party that is in a majority, in a roaring majority in the centre, do you think will push the mining sector out of the morass it is?
See that the mining sector coming out of where it is, particularly coal mining, depends to a large extent on what they are able to do with the auctions. But you have rightly said this kind of decoupling where you are politically very strong but unable to get through legislation injects an enormous element of uncertainty into business, which is not a good thing. It's not exactly what Indian business needs at this point of time. But I think they have to recalibrate to the circumstances. They have to reconcile themselves, because this is how it is going to be till such time the BJP brings up with a smart floor management strategy in Parliament, which at the moment they don't have, or they're able to keep the loony fringe groups at bay so that they don't keep generating political causes for an otherwise completely hopelessly out of the race opposition. So this they have to figure out. So yes, definitely uncertainty is now going to be a factor in Indian business, which coming out of heading into a recovery is certainly not a good thing.
So in effect, Anil, do you think Prime Minister Modi's support is wearing out in the business community and among the people that you have been in conversation with? Because clearly his reputation of being business friendly, being a quick decision maker is getting tarnished now.
No, I won't use it. Tarnish is a very strong word, but I would say that it is getting questioned. You see, this is always going to happen in the sense that you promised a lot in the run-up to the election. And this is a country which has now got used to quick fix solutions, and that is not there for the offering. I think Modi knew that in a campaign, but in a campaign mode, that's how you campaign. I mean, you have to make the promise and you have to try and deliver. So now the problem is the tangibles, delivering on the tangibles. The expectation time for Narendra Modi is going to be much shorter because of the bar that he has set himself. Now, unfortunately for him, in the run-up to the election, he used non-state players like the party, the cadres, these NGOs, raft of these voluntary groups. None of them are available to him in government. He has to work with the existing institutions which have been completely hollowed out. Whether you look at judiciary, whether you look at media, whether you look at bureaucracy, they're completely hollowed out. So if you're working with these institutions, it becomes very difficult to deliver on the mandate that you promised in the run-up to the election. So that disconnect is will manifest itself. But if you go by Jharkhand, if you go by Kashmir, politically it is still not hurting them. Okay, so there is always a lead and a lag between what you do and how it impacts politically. So that lag, in fact, will come, but I think it's too early to expect that to manifest itself now.
Okay, actually, something else has also not hurt. If you look at the numbers in J&K, what were the issues on the eve of the J&K elections? The anti-conversion bill, this Ghar Wapsi syndrome, Christmas holidays being cancelled for an essay on good governance. In spite of all this, such a good showing in Kashmir. Any lessons from that?
Lata, with all due respect, a lot of this is breathless reporting by electronic media.
Right.
So I don't, attribute too much to this, that it has a mass reaction across the country. It definitely disturbs a lot of people. But for them to be disturbed enough to come out and vote against the BJP, I don't think that critical mass is yet reached. It is a lot of it is in our media itself. These are relevant issues. They have to be debated. I mean, there's no two ways about it. But I don't think it was an electoral issue running into this. In Kashmir, it is very obvious. I think the flood completely turned the dynamics of that election. It took away a large element of the NC. It damaged NC primarily in the floods. Then the rebuilding is one thing the people of the state are desperate for. You see the conditions, like this oppressive winter conditions right now. It must be horrible to be in Kashmir at this point of time and in the aftermath of a flood. So that is there, the aspirations. It's also got a young demography like India. So, and I think its politics has come a full circle now. It's at a cusp. I'm not saying it's things have changed dramatically, but there is a beginning of a mainstreaming in Kashmir politics. So that is where this election is very significant when we view Kashmir. So the emergence of BJP, the numbers, very significant. It is replacing Congress. But the bigger story there is the mainstreaming of Kashmir.
Okay, Anil, I'm being warned we are out of time. So very quickly, even now mining companies and steel companies tell us they are getting footballed between the centre and the state, even with court orders to open mines. Now with Jharkhand also going to the BJP and big states like Maharashtra also with the BJP, do you think we could see a flurry of activity in 2015? Maybe it's too early to judge the Modi government in 2014.
Exactly. See, the medium term things, my bet is things would settle down. But in the short term, this uncertainty would remain. The point is definitely taken that if you have a similar government in the centre and states, there's a far better coordination, particularly unlike in the Congress, the BJP is fairly unified around Narendra Modi at this point of time. So I don't see any contradictions emerging. So it should help. But the bigger concern is the short term. The medium-term outlook, I think, is still very, very positive on the economy, politically, in every respect.
All right, Anil, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us in this discussion on the political economics of the BJP government at this point in time.